Greetings, my friends. In this video I will show you some of the most important equipment that I use when I go camping. In the past I used to go camping a lot, not as much now, but I still enjoy when I get the chance to do it. And I've traveled and camped in different parts of Europe. Having the right equipment is extremely necessary if you want to be efficient in materializing the ideas that you come up with when it comes to camping, especially constructions or basically anything camping related. Camping is also essential as a survival skill. When you survive in nature in any way, you definitely need to be able to camp, and it's a big part of survival in any crisis situation. So let's take a look at some of the equipment that I try to take with me when I go camping. So let's start with probably my favorite item of the whole kit, and that's my survival knife in its beautiful custom-made leather sheath. The sheath, as you can see, is custom-made. It's got a pouch. The pouch is empty right now because I wore out my sharpening stone, but it's gonna be the house for the next sharpening stone I will buy. I'm actually considering of making a video, like buy 3 different ones, try them out, see which is best. The previous one I had was the Falkniven DC3. As you can see, the sheath has some loops for putting it on a belt, and this sheath particularly is designed for scout carry, which means carrying the knife horizontally behind your back. That's probably the most efficient position of knife carry for most situations, although maybe not all of them, but for most of them it's pretty good. It also reduces the visibility of the knife so you don't draw unnecessary attention, and it's easy and fast to deploy. The sheath is designed in a way that here you can actually put a ferro rod as well for starting a fire, but I'm not using this because I have a different type of setup for making a fire which doesn't fit here, and I'll show you more later about that. It's got a button here. You open this and then you can remove the knife, which is a BK7, as you can see. It's a very nice survival knife. It's hefty, it's perfect for batoning. It's just the right length, it's not too long and it's not too short. And it's got a coating, rust proof. It makes it rust proof, it doesn't rust. It's got easy maintenance. The steel is good quality. It's generally, there's not much not to like. It's also got a hole here just in case you ever need to hang it from somewhere. And this part is hard. This is hard steel. So you can actually use it for bludgeoning anything in case you need to. The next item in my kit is also a knife, but it's a very different knife for a very different job. It's a tiny knife. So it's a small knife, very convenient for more precise work, things like carving wood, cutting small objects. The large knife is not very suited for these kind of tasks. This is easy to deploy. It's super lightweight, so it really doesn't add to the weight of your carry. And it will make a lot of jobs, such as skinning an animal that you find or whatever you hunt. It will make skinning a lot faster. It will make wood carving a lot faster than the big knife. The big knife has its uses. It's mostly something that you have for batoning wood or self-defense or against animals or even humans in some cases. And of course, as a big knife, it's generally suited to any job that requires any kind of heft. This doesn't have any heft, so it's a lot more suited for smaller jobs which require a greater degree of precision, as well as sometimes a thinner blade. The next item I will show you is this. This is a fire steel. I've clipped it in a way that it doesn't take so much space. But you can see it's got a fire steel component, a ferro rod. It's got paracord. That's a pretty good length of paracord that you can use for whatever you need it for. It's got a tiny whistle which does kind of work, although it's not perfect. So this is quite all right when you are solo camping. When you're with somebody else, though, it's better to get... I've got another pair of orange whistles, which are a lot better. But you know, when you are alone, you will seldom need something, and this is good enough for that reason. You don't need to communicate on a regular basis with somebody, so that will work when you need it to. But if you regularly need to communicate, I would suggest a pair of different whistles, like a bit better ones. And here we've got a clip, so you can actually clip it anywhere you want in your backpack or whatever. You can actually make it shorter by just putting it like this, the way I had it. And this makes it a lot shorter, so you can hang it without it being too long. And here you have the strikers. So you can see this is the striker, this is the rod. And together they make fire. Amazing. So this is not just for making fire though. So it's got a screwdriver here and here. It's got this part, which is for screwing bolts. And generally all these parts can be used for such reasons. And then the other part, it's got a ruler that you can use to measure up to 5 centimeters. It's also got, this is for reading maps. So it's a scale. The scale is 1 to 100,000. And then it's got this bit, which is for opening bottles, I think. So yeah, overall it's pretty handy. It doesn't take too much space, and it's offering a whole lot of function. So that's why I have this. Here I'd like to say that even though in some places you're not allowed to have a fire, it's always good to carry something like this with you, because there are also emergency situations. So you don't know what situation you may run into. It's better to have it and not need it, especially since it's so lightweight and it doesn't take up so much carry weight allowance. And it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. The other item I'd like to show you is this. This is a really beautiful, beautiful expedition shovel. It's got a design which dates back to the First World War, when they had trench warfare. Nowadays, this type of shovel is made with a shorter handle, which is triangular, but I really don't like those. I really don't think they're so practical for use. I really like this proper wooden handle better. It also looks a lot more beautiful. So this is something that you should get only if you don't totally need it, because it's pretty heavy. It's got a lot of weight. Luckily, you can actually put it in your belt, which helps a lot with carrying that weight. Generally speaking, the closer to your base, which is your waist, the weight is, the better for carrying it. The higher you have it on your body, the more it feels like. So the way you take it out of its sheath is you press here, you loosen that strap, and then now you can take it off. And you can see that it's really well made and that it's got several components. So it changes by pressing this button, and then you unfold the bit you want, and then you release the button and it locks in place. And now you can use it as a shovel. It also allows you to use it as some kind of hoe or something to pull soil in that position. So in this position you can use it just to draw soil to somewhere. And in case you encounter very, very tough soil, very hard soil, very dry or whatever, and you need to dig it, first you need to loosen it. How do you do that? You turn it into a pickaxe. You open this bit, and this allows you to dig even the heaviest soil, especially since this is a heavy item. It's got a lot of heft, so it will easily dig into compacted soil. Once you loosen it, then you can fold this again, then unfold the shovel bit, And then you can use the shovel for digging out the soil after it's loosened. So overall, it's a beautiful piece of kit that I really love. Like I said, it's very heavy, but there are situations where you need to carry that kind of weight. It's always handy to have to dig latrines or to level the foundation for any kind of construction. If you're in a group, if you're in a camping group, then one of you can burden this weight, so the others don't have to. But if you have one of those, then I mean it's usually fine. It's usually fine if one of you carries that. So if you have several heavy items, you can distribute them, and one person can get each one of them. This way you distribute the weight, nobody gets too much. The other item that is in this kit, even though a lot of its function is covered by the knife, which can be used for batoning, is this Brook axe. I really love this axe, and even though, like I said, it's not absolutely necessary, it will make a lot of jobs a lot easier, and it's very versatile. So as you see, I've got a leather ring for the belt, so you can pass it into a belt. So this is like a sheath. You've got this into a belt. It's a beautiful leather-made ring holster. You slide the axe from the handle into this holster like that, and it's hanging. So then it's hanging like this from the belt. And you can deploy it anytime by just pulling it out of the leather sheath and opening the sheath in front of it, the sheath it has at the blade. You can see that I chose a type of axe because most of the Brook axes are rounded at the blade. I chose a specific model which is straight because I think that for the purpose of camping, this increases the versatility and the precision in certain situations. In a lot of situations, you need to make cuts which are straight. With a rounded axe, you cannot do that. You have to have a straight axe to do that. If you want to make straight notches that are not curved, whatever. The rounded edge makes cutting easier because it's rounded, so not all of the surface is making contact at once, but this cuts a lot straighter. So this is a lot more useful. It can also be used if you go hunting and you need to butcher some meat, then this can be used as a butcher's cleaver because it's straight. So you use a chopping block and you use this axe to chop the meat into portions or do whatever butchering work is required. So that's very handy. In a pinch, it can be choked up like that and used as a knife, like to carve wood or whatever other use you may have for a knife. You can use this axe for as well. It's really sharp. It's very, very sharp. Of course, it's got a hole here for a lanyard if you so require. If you need to put a lanyard here so you can hold it hang it from your wrist when you're not using it. Although because it's very sharp, I would suggest that you at least put this sheath on if you do that. And this sheath is very beautifully made and very, very simple and practical. A lot of attention to detail. And the other great thing about this axe is that you can actually use it as a hammer. It's got a very straight, very perfectly made and very hard hammering surface. So you can easily use this as a hammer. This is actually designed for this reason. It's also, in some axes, this part here will be thinner. So you can see it here actually better. This part will be thinner in a lot of axes. So if you use them as a hammer, it can actually bend. But this axe has a lot of metal, a lot of steel, hardened steel on this back. So it is perfect for use as a hammer, which is very useful for survival situations. And this is something you cannot do with the knife. So the knife is not exactly a substitute for the axe. It's just that the axe is quite some carry weight extra. So it's a decision you need to make if you will take a hatchet like that with you in a camping trip. The next item I will show you is something really magical. It is this auger. It's a beautiful auger. It's got this leather part as well. So what is an auger? An auger is this little tool. And this little tool will allow you to single-handedly build a civilization in the wilderness if you so require. So what it does is that it creates holes into wood through which you can pass other pieces of wood, other sticks, so you can make perfect and really sturdy wooden structures. You can make a hut just by using an auger without any lacing or any rope. You can make furniture, you can make chairs, tables, beds, anything you require. You can actually make like a proper little house in the wilderness if you want, just with this tiny tool. And the way it works is that you put it with the angle that you want to screw, you put it on the wood and you screw the first part until it goes to some depth and it can hold itself there. Then you find a stick to pass through this hole and use this as a handle to create more leverage. That creates a lot more leverage, so you can dig even in very hard wood. Once you make the hole you want, whether it is all the way through or it is just to the middle so you can make some kind of furniture or whatever, then you find the stick that will go through that hole. And the clever thing that they have done with this auger is that you see this tapered bit, this tapered side. If you put a stick that is almost that size into that and you hammer it from behind with anything like with a hammer or with a stick, a heavy stick or whatever, this will actually cut the stick into that width, which is the perfect width for going into this hole that is made by the front end. So this way you can actually make something that is so tight that it's really tight, like it doesn't require anything else to stand very firmly into that hole. That's a really amazing tool. It also comes with this bit of leather. And this is just simply when you need to, for example, just to hold it, when you need to use it as the way I said, like hammering it to make the stick thinner. You hold it like this because otherwise it will cut into your hand because it's sharpened steel. So it's a very well thought out tool, and it's really useful for camping, especially since it doesn't add so much carry weight at all. It's really lightweight, and it comes in this beautiful sheath, very simple sheath. It's got this little loop here that you can put a belt through, or you can hang it from somewhere by using this little clip. Overall, it's a very nice piece of kit that I would recommend anybody who is planning to camp long term to have, and even if you're not, it's still useful for making any kind of construction over a fire where you need to hang some kind of pot to boil water or whatever. It's really nice to have that. Theoretically, you can do all the things that this does with this tiny knife, but it takes so much more time to do it with this knife than it takes to do it with this specialized tool. So I definitely recommend it, especially because it's so lightweight. The other piece of kit which makes the difference between civilization and barbarism is light. So you've got a torch. This is a very powerful torch. I'm using this every day, which is evident because it's totally banged up. It has been used as a torch, which is its intended use, but also as something to baton things with, which I don't recommend, but I've done it sometimes. What can I say? I have. Here it's got somewhere to put a small lanyard if you need to use a lanyard. I don't need to use a lanyard, so I don't use this, but I've kept the clip. The clip is very, very tough, very hard. By the way, this is a Greek company, I believe, so I'm not sure if you can find this specific one. The thing that really sold me on it, even though it was expensive, is one, its rugged construction, and two, and most important, the fact that it just turns on with a button, turns off with the same button. No stupid epilepsy modes or disco modes or whatever. You know, there are so many Chinese made flashlights out in the market, and for some reason it's like they've got a vice for it. It's like they've got like a crazy habit of making those flashlights having 3 or 4 lighting modes. Nobody needs those modes. We're not. How often are you gonna need to make an SOS signal with those stupid modes? And if you do, just put your hand in front like that. It works the same way. You don't need a specialized flashlight for that. What you need is a simple flashlight like this with an on button, which is also an off button, and that's it. There is nothing else, no other function. And then this flashlight, of course, it has a zoom, so it's really powerful and bright. And then it becomes even more powerful and bright in a more concentrated area or a wider area. And it charges, it's rechargeable, so it charges with this type of USB. It's got its own cable, which I don't have here with me, it's upstairs. But it's got this USB, and I'll show you how you can recharge this in the wilderness if you run out of battery. Which brings us to the next item. And the next item is this torch. This is another item I got off Amazon. It's really a nice piece of kit. It's got a solar panel on top, so it can actually charge from the sun. And if that's not enough, you can charge it manually as well by opening this little winch and then just doing this for as long as you can. And then it charges. And when you want to use it as a flashlight, it's got like 3 uses. One is a flashlight, which is you press this button, there you go, flashlight. It's not the best flashlight, but it can work because it's just too big. I mean, I'm not going to go around like that if I can help it, but you can use it if you really need to. Or you can just lift those metallic arms, and then if you pull it, wow, it comes out like that, and now it's a lantern. So it's a nice lantern. You can put it in your tent to have light. It's very handy. And the third use it has is that it's got a use, well, it's got the other end of that, it's got for that end for electricity if you want to charge it. But if you want to use it as a battery bank, it's also got here, it's got a USB. It's got a USB socket. So what you can do is charge this, whether it is from the sun with a solar panel or from the winch. You charge this, and then you can use this USB into this flashlight to charge this flashlight by using this as a battery bank. That's really amazing. It basically means that you will never run out of electricity if you really want not to. So you will always have some electricity, at least for your torches, no matter what, no matter where you are. You're in the nature, you still have electricity for your torches and your flashlights. Another very simple thing that I want to show you is this. These are 2 sporks that I have. Spork comes from spoon and fork. This is some kind of Swedish brand. It's nothing big, it's nothing expensive, it's something very simple, but something that you need to have if you are planning to eat any foods that require a fork or a spoon. It also is serrated here, so it's serrated so that it can be used as something to cut with, but let's be honest, this is not cutting anything, it's rubbish, it's just there for effect, so it's not going to be any use. But the spoon and the fork, they work okay. The spoon works fine, the fork not perfectly, but it works. So it's a pretty handy thing to have. One of those, or if you're 2 people, then 2 of those. The other thing that is very good to have is a compass, because you may need to orientate, and this is a very simple compass. I don't like very complicated things as a rule. I like things that are simple and do their job well and are reliable. That's the most important thing. So this is a very reliable compass, very small. It has 0 weight. I mean, it's just a few grams. So it's really lightweight and doesn't add anything to your carry weight. So it's got this clip. You can hang it from anywhere and look at it anytime you need to. And it's very handy because it's also got a rubber casing, so it's very sturdy and it's not gonna get damaged anytime soon. Now you may be wondering what this is. This is a utility belt. And that's because when you carry very heavy stuff, and like this shovel, the knife is not so heavy, the axe is, you should use something, especially if you have a very damaged back like myself, you should use something like this, because this is very comfortable to wear. It's got a lot of padding here, as you can see, and if it was a narrow belt, it would cut into your back, and that's not good. So this distributes the weight in a bigger area, and it really helps you with being able to carry stuff without feeling any pain. It's also detachable by those buttons. You can actually take it off quickly if you need to. And yeah, this is the front clip where you open it, and it's also got a Velcro. So you open this and then open the Velcro. Then you can take it off, put it on again. If you need to take it off and not carry the weight, take a break, whatever, it's very easy to do. And you don't need to take off the items. You just take off the belt, put it aside, do what you need to, then put it back on very quickly in a moment. Another thing which is super simple but people disregard and don't think of is this. These are two, so if you're one person you just need one, but it's something to sit your ass on. So people don't think of that, but that's one of the most useful piece of kit that you can actually have. It's really lightweight, it really weighs nothing. It's like really light, extremely lightweight. And it will save you from a wet butt if it's rained, or a cold butt if you need to sit down and it's cold or it's on a rock or whatever. And it will just save you from making a mess out of your trousers at the butt area, or even if you use this for kneeling, if you need to do some work while kneeling, it's better to kneel on that than to kneel on the ground, both for comfort and also for not becoming very dirty. And of course you can use it for any other uses you can think of, such as you can use it as a kind of pillow if you want, just put it there, or like this even, and use it as a pillow when you need to sleep. It's got so many uses. Anytime you want some kind of insulation that is also soft between anything and the ground, this here is your friend. It's very useful, very practical, very lightweight. Definitely bring it with you anytime, anywhere you go. The other thing that is good to have is this. This is paracord. It's a big length of paracord. You never know when you need to use a lot of paracord for whatever. You can make traps with it if it's a survival situation and you need to catch small animals. You can tie pieces of wood if you want to be quick and not use an auger for every single one of them. Or if you want to tie bigger pieces of wood that the auger is not suitable for, you can make anything with it. You can make any kind of construction by using this rope and this paracord and knowing the basic knots, so you can tie it around wood or do just anything else you need to. Tie yourself from a tree or whatever. So you can use it as safety. You can make a harness out of it if you want to climb the tree and be safe. You can. There are limitless uses for this. The other piece of kit that I have is very simple. It's a first aid kit. I have another bigger one, a lot bigger bag, which is more fancy. So this is almost empty now because I have almost nothing in it, because I usually get that one. But if you're traveling solo, it's better to have something like this. This can go through a belt, but you don't need to do that. I mean, you can just throw it into a pocket and just have it there. You should definitely have something with a cross so that it can be quickly and easily recognized in a high stress situation by you. And I mean, you will probably recognize it anyway, but it might be necessary that somebody else uses it on you. So it's really not good to waste precious seconds by somebody looking through your stuff to find the first aid kit. If it's got a cross on it, then it's really easy to find it. That's it, first aid. They take it out, they use it immediately. If they don't, just glue a patch or something like that on it so that it's very quickly recognizable as a first aid kit. Something lightweight like that doesn't add any weight, and it should be very practical and not too exaggerated, and it should have everything that is needed for basic injuries, such as it should have some disinfectant, some gauze, it should have something to sew, to stitch some big wound, because until the time it takes to go to the hospital if you're in nature is too long, and then you cannot stitch it back. You cannot stitch a wound closed once many hours have gone by. I'm not sure about the exact time, but I would say 12 to 24 hours later, it's too late to stitch something back. So you should be able to do that where you are with a kit. You should be able to disinfect any wound, of course. Like I said, you should have some pliers and some metal objects like a scalpel and some way to remove foreign objects from a body. You should have just some basic stuff, some band-aids, some maybe you can put some if you don't want to stitch. If you don't want to stitch any wound, then maybe you can use those staplers. But I don't personally have those or use them. So yeah, just put some basic first aid stuff. They should be situation related. So what is the situation you may encounter when it comes to wounds or injuries or medical problems? Like for example, if you need to sterilize water, maybe you should put also some tablets in here, some Camden tablets. Whatever you need to put in here, keep it light and small. Don't add too much weight. Luckily, most medical supplies are not very heavy, so this will be a compact thing that you can use for first aid in the wilderness. Now, one of my greatest accomplishments is this case. Why do I say that? What does it have inside? You might be wondering the entire time about this case. So one of my greatest accomplishments is that I managed to fit an entire hammock, a lightweight hammock, but an entire hammock. I squeezed it in here, and it would take a lot more space otherwise, but it fits perfectly in this case. And this case is not even, I didn't even buy it for this hammock. I bought it for some muffs that I had for shooting when I was going hunting. So, but the muffs broke, so then I tried this hammock and it fit perfectly in it. So this is great. It's so compact. The hammock is really lightweight. And you may ask, why do I need a hammock? You need a hammock if you go somewhere where the ground is very wet or the conditions are very difficult to set up camp, such as, for example, a very rocky ground which you cannot flatten or make comfortable for sleeping on, something like that. Or maybe there is some kind of danger, some animals, whatever, and you need to be suspended in the air. Then you need a hammock. And the hammock, the good thing, it's got a good thing and a bad thing, which in my case, because I've got a bad back, makes it a terrible thing, which is, you guessed it, it is terrible for the back. Because when you sleep in a hammock, your back makes a curve. And that's pretty bad if you have a back problem already. But that being said, so I haven't used this in a while. But that being said, if it's a survival situation, it's absolutely necessary, then I'm going to use it. And what it does is, it's really easy to set up. It's two strings, like the white ones. They're white so you can easily tell the ends. You take the two white ropes here, the white strings. You tie them to a tree each, and that's it basically. That's your bed. You've got a bed already. It takes you like a minute. So it's very good to have if you're gonna need to sleep suspended in the air for safety reasons or for reasons of unsuitable ground, like if you were, for example, camping in the Everglades of Florida or some other swamp, I would definitely go for something like that. Or if it's actually very good in a sense if you're too hot, if it's too hot somewhere, because you get some nice ventilation from the bottom as well. Actually, you can come up with a lot of uses for it, such as if you have some kind of fire, like a small fire, just don't set yourself on fire by doing that. But if it's a small fire, or if it's coals and it's producing some heat and it's cold outside, and you need to quickly camp somewhere on a wet ground, whatever, then maybe you can set this on top, right on top of the fire, and the smoke will also help keep the bugs away. I mean, I'm just shooting from my brain now, but overall it's good to use if you need to sleep above the ground. The other piece of equipment I will show you is something essential, which is what you will carry water with. So this is a flask. There are many types of flask like that. I chose this particular one because one, it's made of metal, which makes it more durable, and also it makes it so that it doesn't leach chemicals from nasty plastics into the water, especially in high heat. And what is special about this flask, and another main reason why I chose it, is you can see that by opening it, and by the way, it's got, here you can pass it through a belt. You can see that it's also got this. This is a very useful type of container, which you can hold like this. It's got a clever mechanism here that locks it in place. Like you open this and then you can close it like that. But then when you need to open it and you need to stay in place, it's got this, I don't know if you can see it. You slide this into those metal parts, and then it doesn't go anywhere. You can just hold it over fire, or just use it as a handle, which is very handy. It's good to cook inside. It's good to boil water. So you can boil the water here, let it cool down, then put it into the flask and have water. So that's really handy. That being said, this is not too much water. It doesn't carry too much water. It carries about a pint, I think. So I wouldn't start a big trip just with that. I would definitely also have some plastic bottles of water in my backpack as well. But of course, water is probably the fastest way to add a lot of weight when you're going anywhere. So there is always a balancing thing around water. But this is a very good flask to have. If you need to have a flask, this is a good combo because it's 2-in-1. It's a flask and also a container for boiling water or cooking food. And the final item I want to show you today is this. This is a very nice foldable saw made by Gerber. So the way this works, like you can see, it takes so little space and it's actually pretty lightweight. It's not really heavy as an item. And when you need to make this very compact thing into a saw, and of course, I want to say something here. There are some saws, like some wire saws and things like that. These will work, but they will, like I said, it's a matter of efficiency. These will take so much more time than this to cut through wood, that this is a lot better to have if you have, especially if you have to do a lot of construction. And even if you don't, it's a lot faster. Why waste time when you don't need to? So this is how to deploy this. You open the handle, then you open this part. Then here comes the blade. There you go. So you can see that's what you get. The blade also has a cover, so it doesn't injure you. So when it is like this, you need to fold it so that the blade goes the other way around. And then you bring the handle there. And if you can see here, there is this little there's this little hook coming out of the handle, and there is a hole in the blade. So this goes into the hole, like so. And then, to create tension and make it tight and bring it to its final shape, you just press this until it connects in here. There you go. And that's it. That's a great saw. It cuts very well, very fast to work with. And it's very compact. And it's very ergonomic. This is what you need if you need to cut a lot of wood. It's perfect for cutting firewood into manageable pieces. And it's also perfect for cutting any kind of wood that you will need for construction. Any sticks or anything. And when you need to fold it again, you open this part, hook comes off, fold it the other way around, use the safety so you don't cut yourself. And fold it all the way in, and then this clicks and this clicks. There you go. Very compact thing to have. So this was the Apocalyptic Nights camping gear list of items that I like to take with me when I go camping somewhere. Let me know which other things you like to bring with you and what is their usefulness, and I will see you the next time. Until then, be well and take care.